Day one. Oh yeah, I ain't bidole. Okay, cool. Oh wait, no, my anya wants to show. Hold up. Let me get adjusted first, yo. All right, there. Okay, looks good. Oh yeah.
I made it 10 rods altogether.
Yes, sir. That's
I
awesome.
made it 10 rods, and that is 100 rods.
That's very awesome. Okay, just 1 second, everybody.
I'm coming.
Oh yeah, can I be do? Hello, everybody. Hello. Ndewonu. Who's in the house? I see we got 3 people so far. Let me try to pop this up on my laptop. Today we are going to be discussing Iwaji, or also known as Ahanjoku, or Njoku, and New Yam Festival. It has many names. Everywhere you go has a different name for it. I might even share some of the different names and why they have it. What's also important about this particular celebration is this is a Pan-African celebration, meaning we celebrate this throughout the continent, even though it's not necessarily acknowledged that way. Ndewonu, Chimoge, Ndewo, Snapple and Cats, Ndewo. Who else is in here? We got 6 people in here and only 2 likes. So if you are in the room, go ahead and hit like so we can make this catch up. We're going to begin this talk once we hit... you always say 15, but I'm feeling ambitious today, so let's do 20. Once we hit 20, we're going to go ahead and begin the chat. So I got my coffee, so this one's going to be a long one. But all right, we got 6 people in here and 3 likes. 6 and 3 likes. Let's go ahead and hit like if you have not hit like. We always want that to match 1 to 1. So there are 3 people in here that are not doing their job. Snapple and Cat said, I did my duty. All right, attention. Awesome. Who else do we have? There's 1 person that's holding on to 1 like. 1 person holding on. Actually, it's Pan-African, you say. Yes, it's very Pan-African. It's very, very Pan-African. 8 and 5. In Jamaica, yellow yam is a type. Okay, wait. In Jamaica, yellow yam, the same type of yam in Igbo land. Our yam is very white. G is very white. Though, hey, Adeze, Kekide. Kedukide. Are you just coming from class? Isi class, Abia. Yeah, no, there's different types of yams in West Africa, but the yam that I'm familiar with is the white one, G. Just finished. Okay, awesome. I hope you told them all to join because I want to see everybody here. Ndewonu, everybody. Adeze is just coming from Kedu, from Igbo 1. Those of you who are interested in learning the Igbo language this year, we're going to start enrolling for the fall session. So I'm going to be announcing that pretty soon when that starts. You can go check the website, www.kedu.me, and that kind of thing. There's usually a limited amount of seats, so first come, first serve. We are almost, I think we got about a month left for the summer course. Adeze, Imotaga, Asusunyibo. In Delta, we do have very yellow yam in addition to the regular white one. Yeah, I think I did see the yellow one growing up. There's also Giede, but it's all there. Where are we at? I know this is off topic, but can I ask how much overlap between Igbo and Yoruba language? I think linguists have confirmed that at one point there were 2 dialects of the same language. Igbo and Yoruba were 2 dialects of the same language. And now they are different enough to be considered 2 different languages. They are in the same language family. So I can't count the overlap. But one thing you'll notice with Igbo and Yoruba is that even when there's a difference, if you dig deep in both languages, histories, and things like that, you'll actually see that the difference is not that big of a difference, right? Like, for example, in Yoruba, they say iya for a woman, and Igbo, we say nwanyi, right? But many things associated with women will now have the word iya or iyom associated. such as Ndinyem or Inyem, my bad, Inyem. So Ndinyem, which is a group of women, like a congress of women. Ndinyem, usually the group of wives, the congress of wives. That's the best way to put it. Even Winye, all these different things. The Iye, that sound is there. So if you dig deep, you'll now see that they're not that different. But yeah, at one point, Yoruba and Igbo were two dialects of the same language. Yes, in Igbo, goat is Ewu, Yoruba, it's Ewure. Okay, yeah, see, things like that. It's like, yeah, same language family anyway. I think Kwa language family. So yeah. All right, y'all, we're gonna begin this when we get 20 people in here. Today, I'm going to be breaking down the New Yam celebration. We are currently in Congress of Wives. That they are, man. That they are. I think they say that fear of Ndinyam is the beginning of wisdom, right? Fear of the Congress. It's such a dramatic translation, but Congress of Wives is the beginning of wisdom, and yeah, they're no joke. They're the ones that chase the British out, you know, with the Aba women's riots. They're the ones. I don't know if you guys have seen my video on the Aba women's riots, but well, it's a clip from one of my other videos. If it's from like the video on like the market and market women in general, right? So check that one out if you haven't. But I go into the talking about the Aba women's rights, and I'll talk about that more if anybody asks later on. But we are focused on New Yam, Iriji, Ahanjoku, what's another name? Ikeji. I mean, it's got several names, but something yam. Everything is something yam, something yam, something yam. So this is the celebration of the new yam, as it is called. We are at 11 people. Once we get to 20, so what we're gonna do is, if you are on Instagram, post the link on Instagram. If you are on Twitter, post the link on Twitter. If you're on Facebook, post the link on Facebook. Let me go send the link to the Patreon, so we can get the dignitaries in here, you know? So we can get these in here, you know? All right, so let me post it here. Even though if you're on Patreon, you kind of got early feed on this. I kind of already shared something with you guys already. So let me put this here. What's going on with y'all? A group of Nigerian aunties is a scary thought. Yes, they're no joke. Oh, they're no joke. Doesn't Iya mean mother in Yoruba? Yeah, mother, woman, or that kind of thing. Yeah. So, hot take. Ede tastes way better than regular G. Yeah, that's not a hot take. That's like a confirmed fact. Yeah. Complete confirmed fact. Naturopathic doctor once told me to stop eating all white starch. I mostly ignored their advice because I'm never going to stop eating G. Yes, my favorite food growing up was fried G. Fried G and mano. Hold on. All right. We are live. Umu Eluigwe. We're live. Today we're talking about the new yam. Join us if you are free. Udo Nando. All right. To all patrons. All right. Post this everywhere you can. We're trying to get 20 people up in here before we start. Today we're going to be discussing the G. I saw some familiar names just now. Let me go back and see who's all in here. Hold up. Let me scroll down. Chiwendu. I'm late again. No, you're actually early. We're not going to begin until we get 20 in here. So if you got friends and family, send them the link. All hail Biafra, you say. All hail Biafra. All right. What else we got here? I did my duty. Awesome. All right. Another thing that I'm not getting is we got 13 people in here and 14 people in here, and only 8 have hit like. If you're in here, hit like. Hit like. Let's get it to 14. So I don't know who's holding on to their like. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. We're still at 8. If you have not hit like, hit like. It helps the channel a lot. We are now at 10. So 2 people got right to it. Kudos to you. We've got 4 more people holding on. Hold on. Repeating things like Umar Johnson. No, we don't like us slash the. Just hit like. Chimwendu. Why, Oma? Okay, you got it. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Adeze. Hey, Adeze, why are you fumbling? Pin message. Okay, so what I just posted up top is a link to the Patreon. I want to see more of you guys in the Patreon. Of course, shout out to everybody who's there and has been there since the beginning. We've built a really awesome community in there with the group studies and just the general discussions we have, things like that. And then a lot of you, I don't know if everybody at the same time decided to start reading the library, but I've been getting different messages about the things in the library. So those of you who are accessing the library on your own free time and just running through it, it's an awesome thing. I make it available for a reason. So I appreciate you guys doing that. 16 to 12, 17. All right, we gotta get 3 more people in here and we're good to go. At the same time, I don't know why we're at 16 and only 12 likes. Maybe I should just shut the whole thing off. Y'all don't love us? Y'all don't love Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre? No, go ahead and hit like. Go ahead. If you haven't hit like, go ahead and hit like. We are at 18. We got 2 more people. If we can get 2 more people in here, we are good to go. 2 more people. I know y'all know 2 people you could invite and say, hey, come check this guy out if you haven't already. That type of thing. 17. Somebody hopped out. Got tired of me making demands. No, don't, Bika. Wait, no, don't do what, Bika? Just like, okay, awesome. Chiwendu, what are we not doing? 1717, wonderful. Uno gade, uno geto, nkobala nuti aka ogade no wa. Wonderful. I just walked in. Let me take my coat off. No problem. Just put it over there. Shoes down there. Come take a seat. You have joined. And Chimoge, you know the vibes. They said don't log off. Okay, cool. Let's see. Let's hit that like then. Let's hit that like then. All right, but you did, Chiwendu. You hit like, so I appreciate that. If we can get 1 more person in here, we're going to begin. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to stare, which will make people leave anyway. So 1 more person in here. I think by the time I'm done sipping this coffee, we'll be there. We'll see. Hold on. I guess not, man. I guess. Orole, you say we have officially hit 20 people. Let me find my UFO. Where did I put the thing? Okay, there we go. I want to test out something. Give me just a second. No, that's not it. Okay, we hit 20 even though somebody hopped out, but it doesn't matter. We hit our 20. There's 1 person that hasn't hit like. So if you haven't, do that. Dare you something. You say thank you. Awesome. Oh yeah. Now what I'm going to perform is known as Iwaji, which is the breaking of the Oji, right? The Oji is if there's one thing that can sum up Igbo culture, it is the Oji. It is the Oji. Now I don't have the regular red cola, but I have a bitter cola. I have 1 more left. Right? And Oji is a group of fruits and nuts, I guess I'll call them, that when human beings were able to go to Obi-Chukwu and live between Obi-Chukwu and Uwamadu, the world we live in today, Chukwu asked them to take anything in his garden and that they chose or they wanted. And what they chose was the Oji. The Oji is typically, Ojibo is typically a red nut with 4 lobes. Those 4 lobes represent the coming together of everybody in attendance. It represents the coming together of the 4 elements of a human being, which are the creator of that human being, or even a moment or whatever, the creator of the human being, the purpose it was created, its physical manifestation, and its spirit. All right, all of those things come together to make one thing. It also, which is also another way of saying chi, it's eke, it's agun or onyowa, and it's mo. Another collection of things that the Oji brings together are the 4 days, which are also the 4 elements. Eke, which is fire and light. Urie, which is water and liquid. Afo, which is solid and mineral. and then nkwo, which is wind and vapor or ether, however you want to put it, okay? So that being said, all of those things are represented so that when a person brings Oji, their ancestors are present. Those who are living and not living are present. So if I'm holding Oji in my hand, I'm speaking on behalf of all of our ancestors, all of our spirit, all of our chi. You guys are giving me the honor to do that thing. Now, typically, I will present the Oji to the eldest man in the room, and he will nod and give me permission to go ahead and do it because it is his Onwe Ofoya. He has the Ofo to do that thing. And you don't overstep people's Ofo. You don't overstep people's area in the way our ancestors did things. So I'm assuming any of the gentlemen who are older than me are nodding. If you are, go ahead and nod. Sometimes we have to assume. All right. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Oh, one more thing. When you're doing Iwaji, you are greeting everything that is present, everything that is, lack of a better term, relevant. You're giving acknowledgments and greetings to all these things. And you are, in doing that, you are creating a spirit of oneness. Okay? So that being said, let me begin. Okike Kerua. Alawala. Ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ. Ala mụrụ anyị niile. Ọjị abịala. Eji m ọjị n'aka na-ekele unu niile. Na-ekelekwe agbara na-esoro anyị na nke na-enye anyị ndụ. Eji m ọjị ike na-ekelekwe ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, ndị mbụ na ndị egede. Ji ọjị na-ekelekwe ndị eke, ndị orie, ndị afọ na ndị nkwọ. Ọjị m ji n'aka bụ ọjị m ga-eji na-ekelekwe nna nna m, mana mgbe ọbụla m na-ekwu ụka ọ ha na-ekwu. Nna Ejike, eji m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Emenaha, eji m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Ukwuebu, eji m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Ọfọdụrụ nwa, eji m ọjị na-ekele gị. Nna Fidelis Akanweze, eji m ọjị na-ekele gị. Jikwe ya na-ekele gị na eke na orie na afọ na nkwọ. Ebe ọbụla unu nọ, ọjị abịala. Nnọọ ka nnụ fụrụ m bụ nnọọ ka m dị. Obi m dị ọcha, aka m dị ọcha. Ije anyị na-aga bụ ije Chineke kere ka anyị gaa n'ụwa a. Mana anyị ga-aga ya nke ọbụla Chineke tiri n'ije anyị ga-eri ya, anyị ga-eweta ya. Ọ ga-enye anyị ndụ, ọ ga-enye anyị udo, ọ ga-enye anyị ike, ọ ga-enye anyị uche, ọ ga-enye anyị abịa. Na ọ ga-adị nnọọ na eke na orie na afọ na nkwọ ise. All right, then at the end, I will wa the orgy, I will break the orgy, and we will begin. Now we pass it around, everybody takes a piece, but since we're doing this virtually, y'all are gonna have to just pretend. He say, receive them, receive them, receive them. Awesome, 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 awesome. I'm trying to see some of your comments. I noticed G has G in it. Is that related to the word yam in any way? Snapple and Cats, you're a very observant person. G and G, the word G means hold. Hold. G, G, and OG, the color black, all have that word G, which is hold. Hold, right? So an G is something that holds us together. It's something that brings us together. G, it brings everybody together. That kind of thing, right? G is something that brings everybody together. In Afa, a word for that same idea of bringing a bunch of things together is Obara or Obala in some dialects, right? When you do Afa, you'll get, sometimes they say Oba, or Obala. It usually means an accumulation of things. That word Obala now becomes part of what Oba, which is barn, right? And that kind of thing. And it also becomes blood. It also means blood, which is an accumulation of something. Somebody told me light. Somebody told me another thing. It's all good, yeah? So the G in G and the G in G all hold things together. Now, I'm going to explain why there's G in G by telling the story of, or one of the stories of the Yam. There's many stories. Every community has their own, but there are some that are just popular and I happen to know them, that kind of thing, right? So today we are going to talk about the New Yam. The fact that it is New Yam season. So what you're seeing right now throughout Igbo land is the celebration of the New Yam festival. Every community is going to have the day it does its own, but typically it's going to be either this moon or the moon that is coming, and with a few rare exceptions of the moon that just passed and the moon after the next, right? But those are very, very rare exceptions. Most of them are going to do it in this time, right? These next two moons. This is in more temperate places of the world, the coming of fall. This is the time of Thanksgiving worldwide. And Iwaji, or the New Yam, also follows in that same vein. Now, Iwaji is celebrated by the entire community as a whole. The entire community as a whole. Where everybody celebrates it as one. Iwaji, that specific name for it, literally means the eating of the yam. Iwaji, the eating of yam eating, or yam eating day, right? But it goes by different names, right? So in some places it's Ahia Njoku, or Njoku. In other places it is EKG. I know our people call theirs EKG, so on and so forth. But all over the place, these different yam-themed holidays are happening in Igbo land, Southeast Nigeria. Now, what is particularly interesting about the New Yam Festival is that if you go from Igbo land into what is now called Cameroon to what is now called Ghana, you're going to see very similar celebrations happening right now at the exact same time, and so forth. Every single, like all over these different communities. You're just going to see it just all over, which is why I said it's a very Pan-African holiday, because it's not just an Igbo celebration, it is Africa-wide, right? Something that unites everybody, right? Back to that word, G-E-G, right? So, what is Iwaji? So I'm going to start it with a story, right? So I've told this story before, so those of you who have heard it, be patient, that kind of thing. Those of you who haven't heard it, enjoy the ride, that kind of thing. So in the beginning of the establishment of a community we now know as Nri, right? Or Aguleri. I think they argue which one is first, but it's Aguleri actually. So in the beginning of the establishment of the community of Aguleri and the Umueri clan, Chukwu sent to earth his right-hand man, right? This was literally the person who sat at the right hand of Chukwu. And this was an individual by the name of Eri, right? Eri came down from the sky onto the earth when the earth was still muddy, right? This time is called when the earth was still muddy, or when the earth was not firm, right? So he landed on earth in an era when the earth was not yet firm. Everywhere was muddy, everywhere was water, just water and mud. And there was no place for him and his wife to settle, right? So Chukwu sent a man from a community known as Oka, right? A man from a community known as Oka to come over to where Eri was standing and use his bellows to clear the water out of the place. Now, those who know Oka know that Oka is a legendary ironsmithing community. It's a legendary ironsmithing community. Oka ironsmiths traveled just about the whole of Africa. Like every day I look into it, I find more and more evidence to how far they went, right? So they traveled just about the whole of Africa, smithing iron, forming tools and weapons, so on and so forth for people. So the Chukwu then calls this man to use his bellows from his furnace to blow away the water or to dry the land and make it firm. And thus this Oka man did, and the land was firm for Eri to settle. Now, Eri was a special person. Eri, who sat at the right hand of Chukwu in Obi Chukwu, was not a person who ate from the earth. Eri was a person who ate from the sky. Anytime Eri wanted to eat something, or anytime Eri's people wanted to eat, Eri would look upon Chukwu, and Chukwu would send down Azunigwe, right? Which is fish from heaven or heavenly fish. Would send down Azunigwe, and Eri would eat this heavenly fish and he would be content and full. Now, Eri was also a special person in the regards that Eri came before the idea of death entered the world. The era is literally called before death entered the world, that kind of thing, right? Or before death caught up with the world, that type of thing. So Eri, what was I gonna say? Eri came to the earth before people were able to die, right? So at this time, people were just living, eating from the sky, that type of thing, right? And one day, Eri had a son, and Eri's son was Unri. Unri. Now, there's something very interesting when you're listening to this story. If you speak the language, you will know that Eri is rope and Unri is food. Just little things there, right? Unri is food. So Unri is specifically food that satiates, right? So like candy is not really Unri. Yeah, that's sweet. So that type of thing. So anyways, yeah. So Eri had a son named Unri, and he had a daughter. And no, he had a son named Unri specifically, my bad. And one day Eri went to sleep and didn't wake up, right? Eri went to sleep and did not wake up. And so they shook him a little bit, nothing happened. They moved him around a little bit, nothing happened. They even tried pouring water on him, nothing, right? They realized something had gone horribly wrong. So Unri, who was Eri's first son, called to Chukwu and said, Chukwu, I don't know what happened. My father is gone and we're hungry. And Chukwu said that if you wish to eat, you, Unri, must sacrifice your first son and sacrifice your first daughter. And you will bury both of their heads in the ground, and from their heads, food will emerge. And Unri heard this and said, no way, that's not going to happen. You took my food. Now you're going to take my son and my first son, my first son and my Ada. No, it's not going to happen. So Unri refused the order, right? And from there, a great starvation broke out into the world as they tried calling to Chukwu the way Eri would call to Chukwu and receive Azumigwe, which is fish from the sky. And nothing would happen, right? Chukwu was not sending this fish anymore. We've now entered a different era of existence, right? For those who've watched my 4 World Ages video, we're now in Ugachi, right? Ugachi. So Eri continues calling on to Chukwu and nothing happens. Calling on to Chukwu and nothing happens. Just, Chukwu, please, doing that thing, praying, right? Nothing's happening. And the starvation continues and continues. And Chukwu returns and says, okay, Nri, before you bury the head of your son and bury the head of your daughter, I want you to put Ichi, I'll give you the honor of putting Ichi marks on each of their heads. Now, what does that mean to have Ichi marks on your head? If you have Ichi marks on your head, you are you become a living ancestor, right? You become a living ancestor, or your Chi manifests forward. So you're a living embodiment of your Chi. This means that this person will reincarnate. We have given this person the clearance as human beings to come back into the world because they were a pure person. They came back as their Chi, that kind of thing, right? It's a huge honor. So because of this, Inri said, all right, I'll do it. And so he killed his first son. He killed his first daughter. They placed the Chi marks on their heads, probably in a different order, and they buried the 2 of them. And they watched the ground and nothing happened. They waited a few more days and nothing, and more days and nothing. And the hunger grew, and the hunger grew, and the hunger grew. It was at the very breaking point that a tiny green spud broke out from both the daughter and the son's graves, right? And from the son's grave, they retrieved Ji, the yam, the big African yam that everybody's kind of familiar with, right? And from the daughter's grave, they received Jiede or Ede, which are cocoa yam. If you haven't had them, Google it. It's delicious, right? And so the 2 came from there. And Unri and his people began to eat the food because they're hungry, ravenous. And so Chukwu told them that if they eat the whole of the food, no more food will come back. No more food will come back. But that if they bury a little bit of it, they can produce more yam. And they can eat until they have a little bit left, and then they bury it again, and more yam will come. And this was the beginning of agriculture for the human race. And because Nri listened to Chukwu's command, Nri and his descendants received Ofoji, right? Ofoji. The Ofoji is the Ofo of the yam. This means that they have a spiritual authority and a spiritual duty to the yam cultivation, and that entire thing. For this reason, the yam is a sacred food for the Igbo people. Yam and the cocoa yam are both sacred foods for people. The barn that you keep yam in is considered a shrine. It is treated like a holy place, right? If you have sex in a barn back in the day, that's considered not just a violation of law, but an abomination against the land itself, right? Which is a different level of consequence and a different level of protocol. At that point, you'd have to go to a community such as Nri, right? And bring some of these people who have Ofoji to come and cleanse the land of the nonsense that you did in your barn. If you fight somebody on farmland, on cultivated land, you've committed a higher offense than normal, right? Now, the term G is interesting because G begins, or the coming of G is the beginning of us as human beings going from sky beings that eat from the sky to earthlings who eat from the earth, right? And G is the food that satiates, is G, holds you to the ground, or will hold you to the earth. It holds you to the earth. It keeps you earthen. It makes you an earthling, that kind of thing, right? And this is what allows us to be in the world and enjoy the world and that kind of thing. Now, the African worldview on earth is very different from the Christian worldview. So there might be some paradigm shifting that has to happen. But in the African worldview, this is heaven. This is where everybody wants to be. This is where abundance is. This is where anything you want to do is possible. This is where there's more than enough for everybody to enjoy, right? And I've always thought about this, the idea that there's no description of heaven in other religions that doesn't sound like a lesser version of the earth. You understand? Most other religions, or whatever you want to call them, will give you this idea that like earth is this thing that you got to just get away from. Oh, my earthing body, and I gotta ascend, that kind of thing. But this is the good place to be. When you're a good person, you return to this place. You come back here, you see your family, you reunite with everybody, you enjoy all of these different things, right? That kind of thing. Right. So the yam is the thing that holds us to the earth, is the thing that makes us earthlings, earth people, right? Now, the G itself is, because it is a sacred thing, you're going to see it in a lot of different rituals. You're going to see it in a lot of different situations. And of course, the celebration of this coming of this tuber, right? I was going to say fruit. The coming of this type of food, or the G itself, now becomes a holiday known as Iriji, or Ahanjioku, or EKG, just different names all over the place. Jiofun, New Yam, that type of thing. So all of these different things go into the story of why the yam is such a big deal for African people. Now, on a scientific, archaeological level, if you look at the Bantu migrations, which is the migration of people from theoretic Westish Central Africa into Southern and Eastern Africa, right? One thing that makes this significant is because it represents a mass movement of people up and down on a map, The idea in the past, as it was proposed, was that lateral movement was very hard for ancient people to do. Lateral up and down on a map movement is hard to do. It's hard to migrate from north to south, right? Why? Because if you go far south, if you go more southern than where you're at now, you enter a new climate zone. And a new climate zone will come with new diseases. It's the crops you were growing before won't work. They won't grow anymore. It's just an entirely different zone. But if you move from east to west, you're okay. You know, the climate in Igbo land is the same, in Yoruba land is the same, in Ghana is the same, in Sierra Leone is the same in Central African Republic, is the same in Kenya. But if I go north and enter Libya and Egypt, and I'm in a different climate zone. Suddenly I can't grow yams. Suddenly I got diseases that I've never had before, and I'll die. So in order for a mass amount of people to move up and down on a map, some type of higher knowledge of how to operate on the land had to have existed, because in the modern day, penicillin is what makes it possible, right? Vaccination is what makes it possible, right? Well, one of the things that people have come to find was the fact that tubers grow underground. This gives them the flexibility to grow just about anywhere, right? So you can go south and keep growing them. You can go north and keep growing them, that kind of thing. I mean, maybe not in the desert, but still, you know what I mean? And they feel this is one of the reasons the Bantu migrations were possible, right? If you look at any other migration of human beings, it's usually east to west. So that on an archaeological level, that's one of the things that they see that the yam contributed, and why it's such a big deal in African cultures. And why it is one of the things that unites everybody, because just about everybody, not everybody, has either a New Yam celebration or some type of major community uniting celebration at this time. Now, what happens during the New Yam celebration? Actually, I want to read some of you guys' comments before I go on and rant some more. People are saying, wow, okay, that's what's up. Was reincarnation a thing before death? That's a good question. So the idea was that you can go to Obichukwu and return at will. So if you want to call that reincarnation, that's fine. But people can just go at will, like, okay, just like, okay, I'm going to Minnesota, that kind of thing. You can just go at will back and forth, back and forth. So yes, reincarnation was still a thing prior to death, if that makes sense. You understand? But it was just seen as travel more than like death and the entering and exiting of the phase of mortality and all that stuff. Wow, similar to Christian stories in the Bible, they took our stories and turned it upside down. Didn't know that not all food is Inri. Yeah, not all food is Inri, but colloquially, everything is Inri. And most of the things we call food, like you wouldn't call a bowl of Skittles food, even in English. So that kind of thing. It's not that different. Notice all G has G in it. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the comments. Never considered a possibility of something doing that before a barn. Yeah, so as I was saying, so Iwaji, or the New Yams Festival, the two things we're going to discuss is how it's celebrated traditionally, and then how we're going to celebrate it as a community, right? Online, medicine show, all that stuff. So the New Yam, or Iwaji, the New Yam, celebration of the New Yam, is done on a community level. So it's not necessarily like a family, me and my family celebration. The whole town is celebrating at the same time. Now, what happens at this time is every community is going to have slight variances in how they celebrate, but there are going to be some things that are common across the board. And those things that are common across the board are kind of the things I'm going to discuss, so I'll tell you about variances here and there. One of the things you're going to see is that because this is the harvest, this is the first harvest, right? So everybody's going to bring out the yams that they were able to produce in their farm. Now, in Igbo culture, men grow yams, right? If you remember the story, men grow yams and women grow cocoa yams, ede, right? All of the other foods, then, it's whatever. But those two particular ones, women grow that, men grow cocoa yam. And they bring out what they produced, right? Each brings out what they produce, and we all put it together in a big kind of community pot almost, right? Or we contribute to a community pot. This community pot is then cooked by the women in the community. On the day of the New Yam, whomever the apex leader of the community is going to do exactly what I did, which is the Aji breaking, Iwaji, right? After doing Iwaji, that person will take the first bite of yam for the entire community. And then for the rest of the day, everybody is eating. There are masquerades, there's music, there's concerts, people are dancing. You're going place to place, and the food is open and free. It's like an open town-wide buffet, right? A town-wide buffet. You just go from wherever. Typically hosted in the market square, or in nowadays at the palace of the eze of the community. Now, nowadays, that's more common, but typically it used to be in the market square. Though I think a lot of people's market squares are too small for like the community now, that kind of thing. So everybody's just eating, everybody's having a good time, they're singing. Then towards the nighttime, families are getting together and we are telling each other stories of our ancestors, of our history, how this land came to be, how this world came to be, all these different things, right? Now, when I was doing my Iwaji, I mentioned my own ancestors, starting from Ejike. After Ejike is Emenaha. After Emenaha is Ukwebu. After Ukwebu is Ofodarengwa, which is my last name. After Ofodarengwa is Akaweze, which is my grandfather. And then from there, the rest of us are alive. So we are going to be telling the stories of these people. We're going to be sitting down, telling the stories of these people, getting the children acquainted with their history, and then making sure that all of the descendants of the living common ancestor, common person, all get to see and meet each other in one single place, right? So nowadays, people do this for December time where families have this big reunion. Traditionally, it was more so Iwaji this particular season that they would do that. Everybody's returning at this time. And often, they will gather at the place of the eldest woman in the family, right? So right now, the matriarch of the family. So right now, the matriarch is my grandmother, actually. So all of my grandmother's children and her children's children, I think they call this wangwa, they will all gather at this place and we'll all be hearing these stories and different things like that. We'll also take turns entertaining our grandmother, the matriarch of the family. That type of kids, that type of thing. So Iriji, that's more or less how it's done in Igbo land now in general. Now, when you get to the community level, it now becomes a lot more dynamic as far as description because it differs per community. Because this is the invoking of the spirit of community, every community is going to have a different way it does it, right? So you're going to see different types of performances come out, different processions, different ways of conducting the general idea. But the big picture is big feast for community. Apex leader eats the main yam and does a prayer for the entire community. And then at night, we gather as a family, we sing, we tell family history and stories, legends from the family. And that's really it. So if y'all got questions, throw them at me because I'm going to go into how we are going to celebrate. Yes, I don't think iron smelting is 8,000 years old for any culture in the world. Mr. Chi, you may want to Google that. Yeah, 8,000. I'm trying to remember the exact number, but yeah, look up Leja in Enugu. Look up Leja in Enugu. Look up Uturu Uturu is in Imo and Abia, but mainly Abia. No, it's Abia. Look up Uturu and look at Leja and look at what's Opi. Those three places, OPILEJJA and Uturu, UTURU. You're going to be very surprised at what you find, I think. This makes sense. When I grew up as a kid. Yams are also an important crop for Sudeno Guinea region. Awesome. And also among the Bantu. That's dope. Appreciate you sharing that. So the way we are going to celebrate the new yam is the celebration we have. I want to make this I haven't made it an annual. We did it last year. So we called it Ntoju, which is just growth, right? We are doing Ntoju 2022. Right now, I am interviewing individuals, and the theme for this year is doing old things in new ways. So I'm interviewing individuals who are able to do that. The reason I picked this theme is because, the world has changed. We're now a digital people. And as a digital people, we have somewhat of a digital village or a digital community that is wherever you want to put the boundaries, that's fine, but it's a worldwide thing. And in that, the different elements of community have began emerging within this digital space that we all occupy together. So I wanted to bring all these people together and have them talk and share their stories and so forth. If you remember last year, I did interviews with Onyemobi, who is the founder of the Igbo Cyber Shrine. I interviewed Chinaza Adibo. She sings she sings Odinani music, but it's a funny term because she just sings regular Igbo music. That's just it's what it is, you know. But she sings Odinani music and things like that. And we talked about her story. I interviewed Mikel Owuna and his team. Oh my God, I feel bad because I'm not remembering his partner's name, though it's very, very, very important that I remember. So I'm going to definitely remember by the end of this. But it's not coming to me because there's a light in my face. But interviewed Mikel Owuna, who had created, he and his team had taken the story of Chineke, which is the story of Odachi Nebere, which is the story of the merciful mother, where she opens the door and she explodes and all that stuff. They took that story and they made a live action piece using with that, and it blew my mind when I saw it. You know, it blew my mind when I saw it, so it definitely had to be a part of this whole thing. I'm trying to think who else I interviewed. I feel bad because I'm like forgetting people's names, but those three are sticking out to me. Oh yeah, I interviewed Emmy, who is a capoeira teacher. So he was giving us the breakdown on how capoeira works and its history and the different hidden meanings behind a lot of what you see in capoeira. And so forth. We discussed its Africanness, of course, the new face it took when it entered the new world and all those different things. So that's what we did last time. This year, I have a list of people that I'm currently interviewing. I don't want to say who's participating, who's not, because we're not all the way done. But when that's done, the interviews will come out one by one. And we'll all enjoy that together. If there's anybody you want me to interview, it's not too late, okay? It's not too late. If there's anybody you want me to interview, send me a message. I'm not going to accept any self-recommendations. Hey, interview me. I'm not going to do that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. Maybe on a different date, not this one. So if you guys have any recommendations, send me recommendations. Most importantly, if you know the person, like if you're connected to the person and they fit what I'm talking about, message them, right? I'm not like, I don't know how to talk to these internet people. If you send them, they don't respond to emails, they don't respond to their DMs, nothing. So I don't know how to talk to these internet people. So reach out to who you can if you know anybody you think would be interesting to interview, other content creators, things like that. So just reach out, or let me know and I'll reach out for you if you're not connected to the person. Also, yeah, go ahead and throw some names up too for suggestions of people you want me to interview. I still listen to the Chinaza Adibo since, oh, okay, awesome. Snapple and Cats, I still listen to Chinaza Adibo since you featured her. Great music. Yes, awesome music. I think I just talked to her yesterday. Awesome, good music. Iron Smithery was 8,000. Yo, I said the yam was domesticated in Nigeria about 8,000 years ago. Namado, iri abo nele, akita, imena o don't want that. Igbos and Akan celebrate New Yam festivals in Virginia and North Carolina. Super dope. I believe it began as an Igbo holiday here in the States, and the Akan celebrate because of the similarities to their cultures. Yes, I know the Akan celebrate too. Thanks for that, Jada. I didn't know they were doing that. Everything keeps pointing me to North Carolina and Virginia as far as my work. I got good friends that keep telling me that I need to go there and see what's going on. And of course, there's the history where that place was a very Igbo heavy like population concentration during the enslavement era. So thank you for that. So the way we're celebrating is I'm doing the interviews, and then we also had a live stream where you guys got to like come up and talk. I did it in a way that you guys would like. So if you wanted to like, if you're watching like, oh, I want to come up and talk like Clubhouse, you can come up and say something and things like that. So we're going to do that as well. And we are also going to do a movie night on the Patreon. We're going to do a movie night on the Patreon. So if you're not on the Patreon, get on the Patreon. Patreon.com/The Medicine Shell. We're going to kick off New Yams with a movie night, of course, in addition to all the different things that we do, and a general just live party. We're all going to hang out, things like that. So yeah, I want to see you guys in there. If you're not a patron already, at any tier, so be it the basic or the AZ. At any tier, you're going to be invited, that type of thing. Then after that, the interviews roll out. After that, we do the live stream with all of us together. And that's how we're going to celebrate this thing digitally. Now, if you want to celebrate New Yams in your own home, right? We're in America, so the circumstance is different. We can't have a community-wide celebration yet. We can, but not yet, right? what you can do is to prepare a feast for your family. That's step one, right? Prepare a feast for your family. What India American apple potluck. So everybody brings something, everybody contributes something, right? You guys put things together, and then on that day, you're gonna have the patriarch. He said it. You're gonna have the patriarch of the family do a prayer for the family, and after he does the prayer for the family, or the oldest man, however you guys want to put it, after he does a prayer for the family, or he gives another person permission, maybe he doesn't feel like it and you can do it for him, just like I did with the Iwaji. You guys now cut it, and then you guys give it to the elders first, and everybody eats and that kind of thing. So if you want to celebrate New Yam, very, very, very similar to American Thanksgiving, only it's not a celebration of getting rid of the Native Americans. All right, so I'm slacking. I need to get on the Patreon. Chiwendu, we are waiting. Oh, I need you. I need you. We're waiting. We're waiting. In fact, if you come, we'll even be at the party. We'll even be playing your music. I think you're a musician, Akwea. Yes, Chiwendu music. Awesome. We'll play your music at the party. Don't. There's also an Oyo town. I just learned over there. Okay, dope. Biggest slave ports. Yes, somebody had told me that. So almost everyone came through there, were brought to the States. My fam has history in that area. Wow. Wow. Yeah, no, I've been learning a lot about the history of that area just thanks to great people that this channel has given me the privilege of meeting and being connected to. So that's dope. That's dope. So that's really it, you guys. If you, like I said, if you want to celebrate New Yam, remember that it is the celebration of family, and family does not just mean the living. Those who are not living are also your family. I think that's something I have to make clear too, because people often say, like, there's a view of the ancestors as like, I don't know, kind of like these kind of magical beings that like just do stuff for you, right? And that's not what it is, right? The idea of ancestors, the reason ancestors are so important to us as a people is because family does not end at death, right? You don't stop being my family because you died, right? At the same time, remember that, because you don't stop being my family because you pissed me off either. You don't stop being my family because you weren't there, because you and my mom broke up, you and my dad broke up. That doesn't end there, right? So the new yam or that type of thing, if you're doing it in your own home, you want to do it with your own family, find a way to also give the ancestors their honor and their due. What people will do is they will take some of the food for new yams, they'll leave out some for their ancestors, for each of the ancestors, and then also at home, what happens is the abara, the different Arushi in the community, will also eat. So you're going to bring some yam for them to eat too. It's not that they're also a member of your community, right? The translation "the gods" is funny because it kind of takes away the African perspective on that thing, and it kind of makes it like a Eurasian thing, right? But the Abara, it's hard to translate the Abara as gods because it's literally water, right? Nemiri literally means mother water, right? Which the Europeans now translates to water mammy. And then a lot of people now say mami wata. That's why I don't use that term. It's because those of us who are in America know the connotation of mammy, right? And that's what you're saying with mami wata, just letting y'all know. So we say nemiri, 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 that kind of thing. Or U is one of her names. Oshun, all them different ones. Or whatever the river's name is, right? So whatever the river's name is, if it's the Mississippi River, then her name is Mississippi, right? Or whatever the natives were calling her, however you want to refer to it, that kind of thing. So when we say Nemiri, we literally mean water. We're not talking about something that has like that's like driving water, like Voltron, right? The god of water. No, it's literally water. Anna, Allah, Ani. It just means earth. That's just how you say earth. Odanala. It fell on the earth, right? Igwe, sky. You understand? So if you want to call these things gods, fine. But the way Africans see it is that because these things are a part of my world, and because they give me life, they are part of the reason I'm alive. They are also a part of my family. They are also a part of my community. So I give them acknowledgments. I treat them with that respect. You understand? If I've been drinking from this stream for 8,000 years, you understand? I at least should one day say thank you, if not regularly, right? If I've been bathing from this stream, I should thank her for allowing me to cleanse myself with her water. That type of thing. Thank you very much for what you've done, all that stuff, right? If the sky is giving me rain, I thank him. If the earth is giving me food, I thank her, right? And that's what it is. That's all it is. You understand? So it's just having a different relationship with nature. It's not necessarily like when you say gods, it becomes a different thing, right? So it's having a different relationship with nature, the same relationship we have with human beings, right? The same relationship we have with human beings, having that relationship with nature, that type of thing. So when you're having New Yam, the river gets to eat, the earth gets to eat, the sky gets to eat, the different forests get to eat, everybody, all the different spirits that are a part of your Omambala is the one that floats around Ambra, absolutely. Will have their different things they eat, that kind of thing. So, Old Man in the River song. Why Old Man? I've always wondered about that. I don't know what that song is. Wow. No more Mami Wata. Yeah, I hate that. I don't like Pigeon. I don't like Pigeon. It's just there's too many little landmines in Pigeon. There's too many for me anyways, but when you hear somebody speak it, it sounds really cool. So Omambala is a river that flows through Anambra. Yep. Same with indigenous traditions in North America, I hear. Yeah, exactly. It's just having a different relationship with existence, right? A different relationship with existence. I'm not going to, if I'm entering a home, I'm going to respect that home as a thing. It's not just a pile of sticks or a pile of whatever. It's a thing. It's as valid in creation as I am. You understand? I have to be grateful to it the way it would, or a person would be grateful to me if I sheltered them in the rain, right? That kind of thing. Different relationship with those different things, Then ancestors, okay? Yeah, it's not just things that float around and give you magic powers and attack people for you, right? These are your family members. These are your family. So you treat them like family even after death, right? Even after death, you understand? So Anyanwu is my last name. He said, hi, Anyanwu is not a small name. Well, that's a very heavy name. Anyanwu is the first daughter of Chukwu. So that is a very powerful name. Chinwendu, I am assuming you're from Anambra. I think most Anyanwus are from Anambra or Enugu. We'll wait for the answer. Or maybe it's too personal. Can you explain Urashi? I'm surprised you named it name of the river out by my community. Hold on. It's the name of the water out by my community. I thought it was specifically the name of the community's deity. Urashi is the river. So there's a river called Urashi. There's a river called Urashi. Urashi is unique because it's identified as a man. Most other rivers are identified as women, like Idemmili, Njaba, all these different ones. But Urashi is identified as a man, which is interesting. But Urashi is a river, but Urashi is also, of course, then the Albara of the river is what we're talking about, right? So there's going to be a whole culture around how you interact with this member of the community, right? This member, this elder member of the community, of course. But Urashi is a river. In my community, our river is Njaba, right? So Nemiri is a catch-all name, but whatever river or stream is in your community is what the name she is going to take, right? Even in my video, I use Oshimiri. Oshimiri is ocean. It's like the great waters. Some people say River Niger is Oshimiri, that kind of thing. Some people say, of course, the Atlantic and stuff like that. So it's whatever body of water she takes on that name. That's why I like Oshun, for example. Oshun is a river. Oshun is a specific river. So that's where that name Oshun comes from. You understand? When they're saying Oshun, they're talking about that specific river. Oh, she wears yellow. Yeah, the river is yellow. That kind of thing. You see? Yeah. So, well, yeah. I think we're good, y'all. Anyanwu is Imo and Abia. No, I don't know about that. Imo, okay. Every Anyanwu I've met has been from Anambra. But okay, Imo, you're my sister. No problem. I'll take it. So, Martin Obu, Keduke de Nwanne. All right, y'all. I think I am good. I think we're going to hop out. That's it for everything. I want to thank you guys for being here and taking part. Hope you guys picked up something interesting from the discussion. A few things that I wanted to share. The first is that, of course, if you want to support the Medicine Shell, if you want to support everything that's going on, go ahead and join the Patreon at patreon.com/the Medicine Shell. If you've been thinking about joining, or it's been on the back of your mind, or maybe you joined a while ago and you left, this is the best time to come back. We're going to be having a celebration real soon so that we can all, different patrons have more or less talked to me about setting up something where everybody can kind of meet each other. So that's what I'm working on right now, which is why I say this is the best time to come back, where everybody can talk and meet to each other, because we have like a group study where we all share our different views and take like a specific topic and everybody gets to talk. And it's like I always say is my favorite, as far as what I do, it's my favorite part of the month is having the group studies. But patrons also have access to my in-house library. So all these things I'm talking about, if you're listening to me and be like, oh, okay, it sounds like this sounds like a bunch of BS, I don't believe him. You can go to the library. I have everything delineated by topic. So whatever topic you're interested in, if you want to know more about, I have a folder dedicated. I promise I have a folder dedicated to. And in that folder, we'll have different documents. Some folders have damn near 100. Some have like 2 or 3, which is just what it is. But just different articles from DBAs and INZs and researchers. A lot of interesting documents from like explorers and things from back in the day. That you can take a look at. I also have a recommended folder in there, which is like a collection of like books. Most of them are books actually in the recommended folder for patrons that haven't looked in there yet. So they're books, and I have like an order of like, if you want to understand Odinani Ndibo, this is the reading order. Read this one first, this one, this one, this one, and that one. So phenomenal books in there. Like those ones, the ones in there are the ones that really change change the way I see things. So it's all available to patrons at patreon.com/themedicineshell. You also have access to the Odinani calendar, So what happens is when you become a patron, I link you to our Google Calendar. And so you can see what market day it is. In fact, let me go check. I haven't checked today. You can see what market day it is. You can see what moon we're under, and different celebrations and so forth. If you are from Igbo land and you want your community represented in the calendar, reach out to me. Let me know when you guys have your holidays. Right now, Onitsha is very heavy on there because they're the ones that contributed their holidays and things like that. So right now, it's our full day. Yeah. So all of that is available to patrons at patreon.com/themedicineshell. Also, if you're interested in learning the Igbo language, right, most of what I'm talking about, you're going to hit a point where you're going to need to know the language to really get what I'm saying. And a lot of people have said the same thing, that once they started learning the language, the concepts just kind of started coming together more easily. Like, oh, okay, that's what that is. Like I can make a 2-part video on eke, right? The concept eke. But if you spoke Igbo, you automatically know what that means, right? That kind of thing. Automatically. You understand? So it's like that. So, but yeah, if you're interested, kedu.me. My Igbo language school is www.kedu.me. So Kedu is a safe space where people can learn the Igbo language and the Igbo customs and so forth. And when I say safe space, I mean no judgment, no laughing, no snickering, no rudeness, no nothing like that, which those of you who have tried to learn the Igbo language know that comes with the territory. But I'm making sure that with this particular school, we're not doing that. So everybody come in there, everybody is comfortable. You learn at your own pace. Now, before I started Kedu, I was working on Kedu before I was even working on the medicine show. And I was really studying how language works and language transfer and things like that. And you always hear the same thing, that African languages are hard to learn, especially Igbo. Oh, Igbo is hard to learn, this and this and that. And so I did a lot of research as to why people say that and if this is true or not. And I can just flat out say it is not, but we can't teach it the way we teach European languages because it's an entirely different concept, right? It's an entirely different thing. We don't teach it. So we've developed a method of teaching that's based off of what works, right? A lot of our students don't realize, by the time they're done with Igbo 1, they can more or less speak the language, right? All that's left is refining it and getting comfortable. But a lot of them are like in my Igbo 1 class, they'll be telling me about how they can't speak, or like how they feel like, oh, this is so hard and I don't know if this is, I should keep going, but they can actually say the whole thing in the Igbo language. And sometimes I gotta be like, yo, listen to yourself. You're learning it. You're doing good, that kind of thing. So it works. The more or less, long story short, Kedu works. Kedu, www.kedu.me. We're gonna start enrolling, or you can go ahead and start enrolling, but I'm gonna announce it very soon that we're gonna begin enrolling. That being said, that's everything, guys. And then Ntoju 2022 is on the way. This is our new Yams celebration. I'm gonna be interviewing different creatives, some on YouTube, some in different aspects of life. So if you guys have people that you want me to have a conversation with, I've been doing a few interviews with my good friend Obehi, and those have been really fun. So if you guys want to see conversations with like different creators and things like that, throw some names at me. I got a request for Ugo Sirius or Ugo Sirius. Why'd I say Ugo? Ugo Sirius. Yeah, so he responded well. So I think that one's gonna work out. If you guys got more suggestions, throw them at me. It's not too late yet, and the interviews will come pretty soon. That being said, thank y'all very much for being here. Thank you guys for supporting. Thank you guys for everything. As always, ono gade, ono geto, ngobala no tiriaka, o gade no wa, gade no neke, no rie, nafo, nankwo. He said, all right, y'all. I'm hoping to see y'all on the Patreon. Take care.